High Commander Zixtal stood before the sweeping observation window of the Stellar Observer, their iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to amber as they studied the planet below. Earth hung like a marble in the vast darkness, swirling white clouds obscuring patches of blue and green. The ship's cloaking system ensured their presence remained undetected, positioned just beyond the orbit of the primitive artificial satellites that encircled the planet. "Display initial scan results," Zixtal commanded, their triple-jointed fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The air around them filled with streams of data, each piece carefully collected over the past 3 standard cycles of observation. First Officer Venra approached with practiced precision, their scales a professional shade of neutral gray. "High Commander, the preliminary analysis is complete. The species calls themselves humans. They have achieved limited spaceflight, but remain confined to their solar system." Zixtal's inner eyelids flickered in acknowledgement. The data painted a fascinating picture of contradictions. In one region, humans had constructed towering metropolises that reached into the clouds, while in others, they still relied on primitive combustion engines. Some areas boasted advanced medical facilities, while others struggled with basic healthcare. "Most peculiar," Zixtal mused, expanding a holographic map of human communication networks. "Their global information system is surprisingly robust, yet inefficiently designed. Look here, Venra. They've built redundancies into redundancies. Perhaps a sign of technological immaturity, High Commander," Venra suggested, their scales rippling with subtle patterns of academic interest. "Perhaps. But something about that assessment didn't sit right with Zixtal. Their people, the Anxithal, had developed their technologies in a precise, logical progression. Each step followed naturally from the last, like the perfect spiral of a quantum shell. Human development looked more like a chaotic web, with breakthrough moments scattered randomly across their timeline." The commander expanded another dataset, this one showing energy consumption patterns across the planet's surface. "They still rely heavily on chemical fuel sources, yet here," they gestured to several bright spots on the global map, "they've achieved control fusion reactions. The contrast is unexpected." A junior analyst, Kretel, approached with a new data packet. "High Commander, we've detected something unusual in their entertainment broadcasts." Zixtal accepted the report, their scales shifting to a deeper amber of concentration as they reviewed its contents. Humans spent considerable resources creating simulated scenarios, stories, about encountering alien life. Some depicted peaceful contact, others imagined conflict, but all showed humanity adapting, surviving, evolving. "They dream of the stars," Zixtal noted, their voice carrying the hint of something rarely heard in a Anxithal commander, uncertainty, not just of reaching them, but of the challenges they might face there. "They prepare for possibilities that may never come." "Surely that's inefficient," Venra observed. "The energy would be better spent on actual technological development." But Zixtal wasn't so certain. Their people had developed their technologies through careful, methodical research. Each advancement came only after its predecessor had been fully mastered. Yet humans seemed to pursue multiple paths simultaneously, accepting frequent failures as part of their process. "Begin deep scan protocol," Zixtal ordered, their scales settling into the deep purple of determined focus. "I want to understand their industrial capabilities, their learning institutions, their information exchange systems. Everything. This species, there's something about them we're missing." As the crew dispersed to carry out their orders, Zixtal remained at the observation window, watching the blue planet slowly rotate below. Standard protocol suggested this should be a routine evaluation of a pre-FTL civilization. The logical conclusion would be to catalog Earth as another potential protectorate of the hegemony, suitable for eventual integration under proper guidance. But as they watched a particularly brilliant sunrise creep across Earth's surface, High Commander Zixtal couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover something extraordinary. In all their years of planetary evaluation, they had never encountered a species that felt quite so unpredictable. Initiating communication disruption sequence, First Officer Venera announced, their scales shimmering with professional confidence. Target: global positioning satellites over the Northern Hemisphere. High Commander Zixtal watched the holographic display as their ship's energy field extended outward, designed to create subtle interference in Earth's orbital network. It was a standard evaluation procedure, gentle pressure to observe how a developing civilization handled technological stress. Maintain monitoring of all human communication channels, Zixtal ordered, settling into their command chair. The expected response would be confusion, followed by primitive attempts to restore their systems. Every emerging civilization faced such tests. It helped the hegemony understand their development level and resilience. The first satellites began failing exactly as planned. Zixtal's inner eyelids flickered with satisfaction as they watched the cascading effect spread across the network. Then something unexpected happened. High Commander, the sensor chief called out, their scales flickering with uncertainty. I'm detecting unusual activity in their ground stations. Zixtal leaned forward, studying the new data streams. Rather than the expected chaos, they watched as human technicians began implementing countermeasures with surprising speed. Not just basic repairs, they were actively analyzing the interference pattern. Impossible, Venera muttered, their scales shifting to a troubled green. They're already isolating our signal frequency. Within hours, Earth's technical centers had developed temporary workarounds. Navigation systems switched to backup methods that shouldn't have worked together but somehow did. Emergency communications adapted to use atmospheric reflection patterns in ways that showed remarkable creativity. High Commander, a junior analyst reported, they're discussing the disruption on their global information network. But they're not just sharing problems. They're collaborating on solutions. Zixtal expanded the holographic display, watching as humans around the planet shared data, proposed theories, and built upon each other's ideas. Their progress wasn't just fast, it was accelerating. Look at this, Zixtal pointed to a particular data stream. This group in something called a university has already theorized the basic principles behind our interference technology. They haven't even confirmed our existence, yet they're reverse engineering our methods. The observation chamber fell silent as the crew watched humans adapt. Private companies redirected communications through improvised ground stations. Military installations switched to backup systems that showed surprising sophistication. Civilian networks reorganized themselves with remarkable efficiency. Sir, Venera's voice carried a note of concern. They're not just compensating for the disruption. They're learning from it. These readings suggest they're already developing shielding against similar frequencies. Zixtal's scales shifted to deep purple as they absorbed this information. The humans weren't just solving the immediate problem. They were preparing for future challenges they could only theorize about. Pull up the historical records, Zixtal ordered. Show me how they've handled similar technological disruptions in the past. The data painted an even more intriguing picture. Solar flares, equipment failures, even their own internal conflicts. Humans had faced numerous communications challenges before. Each time, they emerged with better systems, improved redundancies, and deeper understanding. They don't just repair, Zixtal observed, their voice thoughtful. They improve. Every setback becomes an opportunity for advancement. A new alert drew their attention. Several human research facilities had begun experimenting with quantum entanglement principles, technology that should have been centuries beyond their current development level. Cease the interference, Zixtal ordered abruptly. Resume passive observation only. As the crew hurried to comply, the High Commander remained focused on the holographic displays. In just one standard day cycle, humans had demonstrated problem-solving abilities that defied conventional assessment models. Update the mission parameters, Zixtal instructed Venera. This is no longer a standard evaluation. There's something unique about this species, something we need to understand. Looking down at the blue planet below, Zixtal felt their scales shift to the deep gold of intellectual excitement. The simple test had revealed something extraordinary. Humans didn't just overcome obstacles, they transformed them into stepping stones for greater achievements. The question was, what would they do next? High Commander Zixtal's personal quarters aboard the Stellar Observer had transformed into an impromptu research center. Holographic displays covered every surface, showing hundreds of human technological developments from the past 72 hours. Their scales flickered between deep purple concentration and bright gold amazement as they studied the data. Play the development sequence again, they ordered the ship's artificial intelligence. The central hologram reset, showing the progression of human responses to their brief interference test. First came the immediate adaptations, simple but effective workarounds. Then, within hours, theoretical models explaining the disruption appeared on human research networks. But it was the third stage that had prompted Zixtal to sequester themselves with the data. Humans had begun developing protection against technologies they hadn't even encountered yet. A chime announced First Officer Venra's arrival. "High Commander, you need to see this. Our sensors detected unusual energy signatures from a facility called CERN." The new data stream appeared alongside the others. Zixtal's scales rippled with disbelief. These readings, they're attempting to manipulate quantum fields, but their previous experiments in this area were elementary. That's not all. Venra continued, their scales shifting to an anxious yellow. Look at their theoretical framework. They're not following standard development patterns. They're making intuitive leaps. Zixtal expanded the display, comparing the human research to known technological progression models. Every spacefaring race in the hegemony's database had followed predictable paths, mastering one principle before moving to the next, building knowledge like carefully stacked stones. Humans, it seemed, built knowledge like they built their cities, in every direction at once. "Show me their primary research facilities," Zixtal commanded. The hologram shifted, highlighting dozens of locations across Earth. In each one, humans worked on multiple projects simultaneously, sharing data globally through their information networks. They're experimenting with principles they shouldn't even understand yet, Venra observed, their voice carrying a note of concern. "Look at this facility in Japan. They've already theorized the basic principles of our hull material, just from analyzing atmospheric distortions caused by our cloaking field." Zixtal's scales darkened with intensity. "Compare their current progress to our historical records. How long did it take our species to make similar advances?" The AI displayed the comparison, and the results were startling. Discoveries that had taken the Neanderthal decades of careful research, humans achieved through what they called breakthrough moments. Sudden insights that seemed to defy conventional learning curves. "High Commander," a junior analyst's voice came through the communication system. "We've detected something unusual in their entertainment media again. They're already incorporating elements of our technology into their stories." The display shifted to show various human science fiction productions. Zixtal watched in amazement as humans imagined countless variations of advanced technology, some surprisingly close to actual hegemony capabilities. "They don't just adapt," Zixtal mused, their scales shifting to the deep blue of revelation. "They imagine possibilities first, then work backward to achieve them. It's as if their dreams guide their development." A new alert drew their attention. A human research team had just published a paper theorizing the exact principles behind hegemony faster than light travel. The math was crude, the terminology primitive, but the core concepts were undeniably correct. "Venra," Zixtal's voice carried a weight that made the first officer's scales pale. "Calculate their likely technological progression rate, assuming this pattern continues." The AI processed the request, extrapolating from current trends. The resulting projection caused both officers' scales to shift to stark white, the color of profound shock. "This can't be correct," Venra whispered. "At this rate, they'll achieve capabilities equivalent to our current technology within a single human generation," Zixtal finished. "And if they continue to accelerate their development." The implications hung in the air like a stellar storm about to break. High Commander Zixtal realized they weren't just observing a pre-FTL civilization. They were watching the emergence of something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. Display evolutionary timeline. High Commander Zixtal ordered, their scales shimmering with intense concentration. The holographic chamber filled with images tracking human development from early primates to modern form. Something about their biological progression had been bothering the commander since their recent technological discoveries. Senior biological analyst Kexti stepped forward, their scales a professional shade of green. High Commander, we've completed the comprehensive analysis of human physiology. The results are unexpected. The display zoomed in on human musculature and neural pathways. Beside it, comparative data from other known sentient species scrolled past. Zixtal's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as they processed the information. This can't be correct, Venra said, examining the data. According to these readings, humans evolved as pursuit predators. Precisely, Kexti confirmed. Unlike most predatory species that rely on burst speed or ambush tactics, humans develop the ability to pursue prey until exhaustion. They can maintain physical activity for extraordinary periods. Zixtal's scales shifted to deep purple understanding. Show me their learning patterns again, but overlay their evolutionary traits. The holographic display transformed, revealing a startling correlation. The same persistence that let ancient humans chase prey for days now manifested in their problem-solving approaches. They didn't just solve problems, they pursued solutions relentlessly. Look at this educational facility. Zixtal pointed to a human university. These students have been working on the same theoretical problem for months without losing focus. They call it research passion. The display shifted to show humans engaged in various activities. Children playing complex games, artists working through multiple iterations of their creations, scientists running countless experimental variations. Every activity showed the same pattern of sustained, focused effort. Even their recreation shows this trait, Kexti observed. They create artificial challenges just to experience the satisfaction of overcoming them. Their entertainment often involves solving puzzles or mastering complex skills. A new data stream caught Zixtal's attention. Show me the human sporting event. The hologram displayed a marathon race, hundreds of humans running far beyond what most species would consider reasonable limits. Their vital signs showed clear stress, yet they continued. Their bodies release chemical rewards for persistence, Kexti explained. Something they call runner's high. The longer they persist at a challenging task, the more satisfaction they feel upon completion. Zixtal's scales rippled with revelation. That explains their technological development pattern. They don't just solve problems because they need to. They're literally evolved to enjoy the process of overcoming challenges. The display shifted again, showing human responses to various obstacles. Whether facing natural disasters, technical failures, or social challenges, humans consistently displayed the same trait, relentless persistence combined with creative adaptation. There's more, Venra added, bringing up new data. Their social structures amplify this effect. They share their persistence across their global information network. When one human makes progress, others build upon it immediately. Zixtal studied the patterns with growing amazement. They've transformed their evolutionary hunting strategy into a cultural characteristic. Instead of tracking physical prey, they now pursue knowledge itself with the same relentless determination. The holographic display showed hundreds of human research projects advancing simultaneously. Each one represented countless hours of sustained effort, all connected through their information networks. High Commander, Kexti's scales shifted to concerned yellow. Based on these traits, I believe we should reconsider our standard evaluation protocols. This species doesn't just adapt to survive. They adapt because it's fundamental to their nature. Zixtal stood in silence for a moment, watching the endless stream of human persistence play out before them. Their species had evolved for efficiency, developing technology through careful, measured steps. Humans, it seemed, had evolved to never stop pushing boundaries. Update the biological classification, Zixtal finally ordered. Humans aren't just another sentient species. They're something we've never encountered before. A species that evolved to thrive on overcoming challenges themselves. As the crew processed this revelation, a new alert sounded. Somewhere on Earth, another research team had just made an unexpected breakthrough, proving once again that humanity's relentless nature knew no bounds. High Commander Zixtal's quarters aboard the Stellar Observer erupted in chaos as emergency alerts flashed across every display. Their scales shifted rapidly between shades of shock and disbelief as they processed the incoming data. This defies all known physical principles, Chief Science Officer Martel declared, their scales a pale yellow of scientific confusion. Humans have somehow combined quantum entanglement with classical computing. It shouldn't be possible. Zixtal expanded the holographic display, showing the experimental facility in question. A team of human scientists had achieved what the hegemony had declared theoretically impossible centuries ago. They'd created a stable interface between quantum and classical systems. How? Venra demanded, their scales flickering between professional gray and confused green. Every civilization we've encountered accepted the quantum separation principle as absolute. They didn't know it was impossible, Martel replied, studying the human research papers. They saw the barrier and simply decided to ignore it. The display shifted to show the human team's development process. Unlike the careful theoretical approach the Zixtal would have taken, the humans had used what they called trial and error, repeatedly attempting various combinations until something worked. Look at their methodology. Zixtal pointed to the data stream. They're not following any established scientific progression. They're combining technologies at random, testing impossible configurations just to see what happens. A new alert drew their attention. Another human facility had achieved unexpected results by combining materials in ways that violated standard engineering principles. Their scales collectively paled as they watched humans casually break what the hegemony considered immutable laws of physics. Their ignorance of impossibility seems to be their greatest strength, Martel observed, their voice carrying a note of reluctant admiration. They don't know what they're not supposed to be able to do. Zixtal's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as they processed this insight. Show me other examples of humans bypassing established limitations. The holographic display filled with instances. Aircraft that shouldn't be able to fly but did. Medical treatments that ignored conventional biological barriers. Energy systems that operated outside accepted parameters. Each example demonstrated humanity's peculiar talent for achieving the impossible through sheer persistence and unconventional thinking. They're not just making mistakes that happen to work, Zixtal realized, their scales deepening to the purple of profound understanding. They're intentionally pursuing paths that established science says should fail. And when they succeed, they rewrite the rules. Venra finished, their scales shifting to match the commander's revelatory purple. A junior analyst rushed into the chamber, their scales a bright orange of excitement. High Commander, you need to see this. Humans have just successfully tested a new propulsion system. They're calling it unconventional physics applications. The display showed the test results. The human device achieved thrust by exploiting what the hegemony had long dismissed as a meaningless quantum anomaly. Yet there it was, working in clear violation of several supposedly fundamental physical laws. They're not bound by our limitations because they never accepted them in the first place. Zixtal mused, watching the humans celebrate their latest impossible achievement. Every rule we've discovered, every barrier we've accepted. They see them all as challenges to overcome. Martel's scales shifted to a troubled blue. High Commander, if they continue to develop at this rate, ignoring established possibilities, then we can't predict what they'll achieve next. Zixtal finished. Our entire understanding of technological progression is based on following proven paths. Humans create new paths simply by refusing to accept that they can't exist. The chamber fell silent as they watched another human research team begin a project that by all known science should be doomed to failure. But given what they'd seen so far, Zixtol wouldn't bet against them succeeding. "Update our assessment protocols," they ordered finally. "Traditional development models clearly don't apply to humans. They're not just breaking the rules. They're proving that the rules themselves might be wrong." The observation deck of the Stellar Observer had become a hub of constant activity. Multiple holographic displays tracked simultaneous developments across Earth's surface as humanity's pace of innovation continued to accelerate. High Commander Zixtol's scales shifted between deep purple concentration and bright gold amazement as they monitored the unprecedented changes. Another breakthrough in quantum computing. First Officer Venra reported, their scales flickering with barely contained excitement. This time from a collaboration between teams in India and Brazil. They're sharing their results through their global network. Zixtol expanded the display, watching as the new data spread across human information channels. Within minutes, research teams around the planet began building on the discovery, each adding their own insights and improvements. "Their collaborative efficiency is extraordinary," noted cultural analyst Pellery, their scales a thoughtful blue. "Look at how different cultural approaches combine to solve problems. This team in Kenya just proposed a modification that completely transforms the original concept." The commander studied the pattern of information flow. Unlike the careful, hierarchical approach favored by the hegemony, human innovation seemed to thrive on chaos. Ideas bounced between continents, evolved through countless iterations, and emerged stronger with each transformation. "Show me their response times," Zixtol ordered. The holographic display shifted to reveal a timeline of human technological development over the past month. The curve of progress wasn't just steep, it was becoming nearly vertical. "They're not just learning faster," Science Officer Martel observed, their scales shifting to concerned yellow. "They're learning how to learn faster. Each breakthrough seems to accelerate their understanding of related fields." A new alert drew their attention. A university research team had just published findings that bridged the gap between classical physics and quantum mechanics, a problem that had stumped hegemony scientists for centuries. But it wasn't just the discovery that was remarkable, it was how they achieved it. They combined three seemingly unrelated approaches, Zixtol noted, their inner eyelids flickering rapidly as they processed the implications. Ancient philosophy from their Eastern cultures, cutting-edge mathematics, and observations of natural systems. No single civilization in the hegemony would think to merge such diverse methods. The display updated again, showing how the discovery was already being applied in dozens of different fields. Medical researchers were using it to develop new treatments. Engineers were incorporating it into energy systems. Artists were translating it into new forms of creative expression. "Their adaptability is unlike anything we've encountered," Pellery said, bringing up comparative data from other civilizations. "Most species specialize, develop strength in particular areas. Humans seem to specialize in combining specialties." Zixtol watched as a group of children in a science class began playing with concepts that would challenge senior hegemony researchers. The younger humans' natural curiosity, unburdened by preconceptions, led them to ask questions that their own scientists would never consider. "They're teaching complex quantum principles to children now," Venra noted with astonishment. "And the children are suggesting improvements to the theories." "Because they don't know it should be difficult," Zixtol replied, their scales deepening to royal purple understanding. "Their youth aren't constrained by traditional limitations. They're free to imagine possibilities that our experts would dismiss immediately." A sudden surge of activity across multiple displays caught their attention. Humanity had simultaneously achieved breakthroughs in fusion containment, neural interface technology, and gravitational field manipulation. Each discovery seemed to feed into the others, creating a cascade of innovation that defied prediction. High Commander, Martel's scales had paled to worried white. "At this rate of development, they'll surpass our current technology level within months, not years," Zixtol finished. "And more importantly, they'll take it in directions we never imagined possible." The observation deck fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just watching a species develop. They were witnessing the emergence of something entirely new in the galaxy's history, a civilization that grew stronger with each challenge, that thrived on pushing boundaries, and that seemed to have no ceiling to its potential. High Commander Zixtal stood motionless in their private chamber, their scales a deep, stormy blue of profound revelation as they reviewed the latest data. The holographic displays surrounding them told a story that defied all of the hegemony's previous understanding of species development. Display temporal comparison, they ordered softly. The air filled with a timeline showing humanity's progress over the past 6 months of observation. What had started as a gentle curve had become nearly vertical, each breakthrough spawning multiple others in an endless cascade of innovation. First Officer Venra entered, their scales shifting from professional gray to concerned amber as they noticed the commander's state. "The latest reports are ready, High Commander, though I suspect they'll be outdated by the time we finish reviewing them." "Look at this pattern, Venra," Zixtal gestured to a particular data stream. "Every time we think we understand their limits, they don't just break them. They transform them into advantages." The display showed multiple examples. A failed fusion experiment had led to a breakthrough in quantum field manipulation. A crashed prototype had revealed an entirely new principle of aerodynamics. Even their setbacks produced progress. "They're about to attempt their first faster-than-light test," Venra reported, bringing up the relevant data. "Their approach is unusual." Zixtal expanded the display, studying the human design. It incorporated principles that the hegemony had never considered, combining technologies in ways that should have been catastrophically unstable. Yet the simulations showed it working. "They're not just learning from their successes," Zixtal mused, their scales rippling with the gold of sudden understanding. "They're learning even more from their failures. Every setback becomes a stepping stone." The chamber's displays updated automatically, showing new developments across Earth. A medical research team had turned a failed cancer treatment into a revolutionary regeneration technique. A collapsed quantum computer had revealed insights into consciousness itself. A manufacturing accident had spawned an entirely new field of molecular engineering. "Sir," Venra's scales paled to worried white, "the humans have detected traces of our observation platforms. But instead of being alarmed, they're excited," Zixtal finished, watching the human responses flood across their information networks. Rather than fear or anger, the possibility of alien observation had triggered a wave of innovation. New theories, technologies, and approaches emerged as humans eagerly prepared for potential contact. "Look at their response pattern," Zixtal pointed to the data streams. "They're not just adapting to our presence. They're using the very idea of us to fuel their development. Our attempt to study them has become their motivation to advance." The displays showed human leaders calling for unity, researchers sharing data more openly, and global cooperation reaching unprecedented levels. The mere possibility of alien life had transformed potential competition into collaboration. "High Commander," Science Officer Martel's voice came through the communication system. "We've analyzed their development pattern. It's not just exponential anymore. It's recursive," Zixtal said softly, their scales deepening to the purple of fundamental understanding. "Each advancement teaches them how to advance faster. Each discovery shows them new ways to discover. They're not just climbing the technological ladder, they're learning to build better ladders." The chamber filled with new alerts as humanity achieved another series of breakthroughs. But this time, Zixtal saw beyond the individual achievements to the true pattern underlying them all. "This is why they succeed," they announced, their voice carrying the weight of revelation. "Humans don't just overcome challenges. They need them. Challenge itself is their drive, their purpose, their fundamental nature. The harder the problem, the more they thrive." Venra's scales shifted to match the commander's revelatory purple. "Then our presence. We haven't been observing their development," Zixtal realized. "We've been accelerating it. Every barrier we created, every test we devised, every attempt to understand them has only made them stronger. The implications hung in the air like a stellar storm about to break. They hadn't discovered a new spacefaring race. They'd awakened something unique in the galaxy's history. A species that transformed obstacles into opportunities, that grew stronger from adversity, and that seemed to have no upper limit to its potential. High Commander Zixtal sat alone in their private communications chamber, their scales shifting through shades of deep blue as they prepared to transmit their final report to the Hegemony Council. The weight of their next words would reshape the galaxy's future. "Begin recording," they commanded, their voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with soft light, acknowledging the start of transmission. "To the Honorable Council of the Hegemony, I, High Commander Zixtal of the Stellar Observer, submit this report with the highest priority classification. What follows will challenge everything we believe about species development and galactic civilization." The commander's scales rippled with purpose as they continued. "6 months ago, I began a standard evaluation of Sol system, expecting to find yet another pre-FTL civilization suitable for eventual integration. Instead, I discovered something unprecedented, a species that defies all our models of development and potential." Holographic displays surrounded them, showing Earth's rapid transformation during their observation period. Humans possess a quality we have never encountered before. They thrive on challenge itself. Where other species seek stability, humans actively pursue difficulty. Where we see insurmountable barriers, they see inspiration. Zixtal brought up specific data streams, their inner eyelids flickering as they reviewed the evidence. Their technology doesn't advance along predictable paths. It leaps forward through what they call intuitive breakthroughs. They combine seemingly incompatible systems, ignore established limitations, and succeed precisely because they don't know they should fail. The displays showed examples of human innovation: quantum computers operating at room temperature, gravity manipulation through principles the hegemony had never considered, consciousness transfer technologies that work through methods that should have been impossible. But their technological advancement, remarkable as it is, isn't what makes humans truly unique. Zixtal continued, their scales deepening to royal purple. It's their fundamental nature. They are persistence predators who evolved into persistence innovators. Every obstacle we placed in their path became a catalyst for growth. The commander's scales shifted to bright gold as they reached the crucial part of their message. "I must strongly advise against any attempt to integrate Earth through our standard protocols. Pressure doesn't inhibit humans, it motivates them. Challenges don't discourage them, they inspire them. Any attempt to control or limit their development would only accelerate it in ways we cannot predict." Zixtal paused, knowing their next words would be controversial. "Instead, I recommend something unprecedented: open contact and an offer of equal partnership. Not because they have reached our level of development, but because they will inevitably surpass it. Their potential appears to be unlimited, bound only by the challenges they encounter." The displays showed humanity's latest achievements: their first successful faster-than-light test, their mastery of quantum engineering, their innovations in fields the hegemony had considered fully explored. They have already detected traces of our presence. Rather than respond with fear, they've been inspired to greater achievements. They don't just want to reach the stars, they want to understand them, to solve the mysteries we haven't even recognized yet. "We stand at a crucial moment," Zixtal declared, their scales settling into a determined amber. "We can either welcome humanity as partners in galactic civilization, or watch as they reshape it without us. They will reach the stars, council members, whether we wish it or not. The only question is whether we will be their allies in discovery or merely observers of their ascension." The commander's scales shifted to deep gold for their final words. "In all my cycles of service, I never expected to say this, but we have not discovered a new civilization to guide. We have encountered a force of nature disguised as a species, a force that transforms obstacles into opportunities, that grows stronger from adversity, and that seems to have no concept of impossible. My recommendation is clear: Extend the hand of friendship to humanity now, while we can still offer something of value to the exchange. For I have no doubt that humanity's age of discovery is just beginning, and the galaxy will never be the same. End recording. Zixtal commanded softly. As the transmission completed, they turned to watch Earth rotating slowly below, knowing that whatever came next would reshape the history of both their civilizations forever.